And we're back. It's Finals Media Day presented by YouTube TV. We have a special contributor, Sean Powell, our friend, is standing by with Alex Caruso.
Alex, you were on the Lakers championship team in 2020, and I wonder, what are some of the lessons you learned then that you're applying now?
Yeah, I think just the ability to move on, get to the next game. That's probably the most important thing in the playoffs, but for sure just the finals, because there's so much emotion and so much, mental strain game by game that goes through the process of the 40 minutes. So just being able to kind of clear the memory and move on.
Now, back then, you were just a young pup in the NBA, but now you're seasoned and you're in a leadership role. What's that transition been like?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting just to learn, from all the people, the vets that I've had, the coaches that I've had, watching from afar, and now being able to turn that into, tangible success and being able to rub off on some of the younger guys and give them some of the knowledge that I've learned. It's been a lot of fun, and we got a great group of guys too, so it makes it easy. They want to learn, they want to get better.
When you came here from Chicago this season, it's been an adjustment. You had the 9th most minutes played on the team during the regular season, but that's increased in the playoffs. What's that adjustment been like?
Yeah, just trying to be my best self at the end of the year, I think. We have a really, like we said, a really deep, good team. So there's a lot of mouths to feed through the regular season to make sure everyone's in form and confident going into the postseason. And like you said, I've been there before. I've kind of done it. So for me, it was more about making sure physically I was ready to go. And then obviously I've been playing well, so you're going to get a little uptick in minutes when you're playing well.
Speaking of playing well, in this series, you've had a pair of 20-point games. You didn't have a 20-point game during the regular season, and you played well defensively as well. Which one of those things has brought you the greatest satisfaction?
Honestly, just winning the games, man. 20 is great. I had 2 last game we won. I felt the same afterwards. When we lose, that's when it kind of stings, regardless of how many points you score. You just think about the plays you messed up. So for me, I guess maybe the defensive stuff I've been, awarded for and recognized for, but I put a lot of work into the offensive side of the game just to be able to be prepared in moments like this. And so maybe we'll go with that one just because, that's the newer version.
Yeah, speaking of defense, obviously that's your calling card, but you've had to guard different players each round. What's the challenge going from even being on Nikola Jokic one time to guarding Tyrese Haliburton in this series?
Yeah, just understanding the skill set of the different players and what makes them great. It's a challenge for sure, and it's never, one guy by themselves. Obviously, we have great team defense, and that's kind of what allows the guys that guard the best players to have success. Is the guys behind them that kind of show the support and cut off some of the options for those guys. So for me, it's just about learning tendencies, learning what makes those guys great, and then trying to make it hard for them.
Now, it's very tough trying to close out a team on their home court. Even you said this is the toughest game of the season. What's that challenge going to be like for your team, and what can you tell me about the mindset going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have their best. Like, that's what we have to expect. That's what we think they're going to have, and I would be surprised if it was anything different. So for us, it's about trying to have our best and match that. Obviously, I think the first 2 games we played here, we didn't play great, but we were able to win one. So really, I think just trying to build off the last couple games, the things that we've improved, and try to play better than we did in Game 5, because we know it's probably going to take that to get the win.
Now, I'm going to take you back a little bit to a player who went undrafted. You get signed by the Oklahoma City Blue, and your coach is Mark Daigneault. Now, could you have imagined then that you two guys would be where you are right now?
Yeah, no, that would be hard to tell me a decade ago, 9 years ago, that was going to be the end. I guess not the end, but the reconnection 9 years later was going to be, on a 68-win team in the NBA Finals. But I'm glad we are. I've had a great relationship with Mark, and some of the stuff I learned from him has helped me, get back to this point.
Good luck. We'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Sean Powell, and thanks, Alex Caruso, for stopping. So we've heard from both sides, GA, knowing that this is Game 6. It's a deciding Game 6 for the Thunder. They're 2-1 in deciding games. Remember the Denver series where they had to go to a Game 7. What's the key for this? I mean, you don't want to overlook the fact that Tyrese Haliburton may or may not be in, may or may not be 100%. when you're the Thunder. You still have to prepare for that.
Yeah, you do. And I think most importantly is you want to make sure you control the controllable.
Yeah.
Meaning, okay, let's focus on who we are and what we do and why we win. And I think that's the focus. You can't really get concerned about whether or not someone does or doesn't play, because that takes away from your preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the advantage of having played in some really critical games, a Game 7, a closeout game thus far this postseason, that experience does help. And you could just sense how calm they were.
Yes.
In terms of their process and their approach and the way that Coach Daigneault goes about his business. So I would expect we're going to see a really good version of OKC. The question is, does Indy bring it to the level that's necessary to force a Game 7?
It will be very interesting because it's obviously a home game, as we show you Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shooting at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And here's a post, Alex Caruso on defense with the GOAT emoji. That's a
high praise. That's
It
just high
is
praise.
something. That's for sure. We're back. The Lightning has arrived. I love our headline writers. Take a look at Jalen Williams. Every single game, his productivity has increased. To Game 5, where he had 40 points. Remember, he had 11 points in the fourth quarter. He's only the second Thunder player to score 40 points in an NBA Finals game. That was Westbrook back in 2012. Let's listen in to Jalen Williams at the podium.
Steve in the middle here on third row.
Hi, Jalen. Steve Eschberner, NBA.com. I'm wondering offensively, for the responsibilities that Shai and you have on a nightly basis, when it comes to shots taken, scoring opportunities, how much is that a result of what your system steers you guys towards, and how much of that is maybe just organically for the type of players that you are and how you play?
You're saying like how many shots I shoot a game, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's your leading scorer. Is he always likely to be your leading scorer? Are you likely to be the number 2 scorer? I mean, because of the way you guys play, or because of the players you are?
Honestly, it's a mixture of both of those. I think what helps is that we both want to win. So for me and him, it doesn't really matter who's leading scorer or who's not. I think it also helps pecking order-wise. He's the MVP. So if he wants to shoot a lot of shots, I'm going to tell him good shot every time. So that's kind of how that works. But a lot of it, too, is a result of just our offense and how, like, other guys play around us, and I think just how it's structured. But we don't really, like, go into, like, games and we're like, all right, I'm going to shoot 20 times, and Dub, you're going to shoot 12. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like taking whatever the game gives us, and I think that's what makes us a good team.
Front right.
Joseph Pavone, Clutch Points. Jalen, I can imagine after your historic performance, kind of messages and phone calls you received, I'm wondering what's a name that maybe you hadn't heard from a long time, or someone that possibly reached out that stands out the most within the last 24 hours or so?
Outside of my parents, nobody for real, like friends and family. Honestly, try not to answer my phone as much, even though that probably sounds like I'm a jerk, but there's just a lot of highs and lows throughout the series, and you don't get as many texts if you don't play well, so I try and keep that in perspective too. But a lot of it can be really overwhelming if you give a lot of energy to it, so it makes me sound like a jerk. But I try and get back to them after business is done, but a lot of it just trying to like put my phone away and like spend time with the people that are like at the game and like here with me.
I get it. All right, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's the MVP he was talking about. His teammate, his friend. We'll have more. Make sure you tune in here on NBA TV tomorrow, live at the Finals Game 6. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Just as a reminder, it's pregame and postgame coverage only. Jared, Isaiah, Smitty, Brendan, and 3D will help you guys out. All right, this date in history. Do you remember this? Game 6 in Miami, 2013. Ray Allen send the Heat into overtime against the Spurs. GA, you remember that game?
I do vividly. What was that game? Remember they brought the ropes out in the fourth quarter in anticipation of celebrating a Spurs championship. And Ray Allen said, "Not in our
He said, not today.
Not today.
One of those iconic shots. You'll never forget those, right? The kick out and the step back. Like he knew he had to get back. That was terrific. All right. So now here we are. This is the part of the show where you get to tell us what you're thinking before we get to an actual prediction. Who do you think is going to have a good performance in Game 6?
Well, listen, anytime you play as poorly as we saw in Game 5 from Tyrese Halliburton, even with all the speculation about the injury, I expect him to play better. And he doesn't have to do much to play better than he did in Game 5 after the over. But I just think his energy and the fact that he is going to play, I think that gives him a lot of confidence, that group, and that home crowd and the energy with which they play should provide an opportunity for them to force a Game 7.
Okay, so that leads me to your prediction.
Well, I'm hoping for a 7th game
because
I think the series has been really entertaining.
For sure.
For those who love the game of basketball. But then I also got a little bit of an omen last night when the Panthers took the Edmonton Oilers down in 6. And I was thinking, there's a chance that one could go 7. So I'm going to go with my heart here and say that the Pacers win and force a 7th game.
Let's do it.
Yeah, my head's thinking it might be the Thunder. So
but
we'll see.
We're all hoping for a Game 7. All right, we appreciate you guys sticking with us this afternoon. Hope you feel a lot more prepared for Game 6 if you're at home. GA, we're showing Chet right now. How about him? You think he's going to have a breakout night tomorrow night?
I think he'll continue to play well. Listen, he hasn't shot it well, but he's been really good in this series thus far. And one of the reasons why this team is on the verge of winning their first NBA championship.
Man, it could actually happen tomorrow. Yeah. Hope you guys are tuning in. Remember, come here first, NBA TV, for the pregame show, and then come back for the postgame show. We appreciate your time. And for Greg Anthony and our entire crew, I'm Stephanie Reddy. We will see you next time